So hi, it's Rob Pickering from Action Coach Reading and Working. Here. Marcus, welcome today. Do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, the quick story is my previous life, I was a pool guy and still own a swimming pool company in the United States, and wrote a book called They Ask You Answer, which has become for many organizations their Bible, if you will, of digital sales and marketing success. And it's been embraced by thousands of companies all over the world. I speak full time, except when we're in the middle of pandemics, and that's when I spend my time with good folks like you, Rob. So that's me.
Yeah, well, let's face it, it wouldn't have been this easier to get together and talk to each other if we hadn't all started using Zoom. So there is the book. I love this book. It's brilliant. Yeah, I read a lot of books within Action Coach. We're really pushed to read, 100 books a year. And that really takes some doing. And so we kind of get to know what's a good book and what isn't. And I tell my clients that I read 10 books so I can tell them which one they should bother reading. But they like that. And this is definitely in my top 10, top 20. It always depends because, if people want books on sales or books on marketing, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyone on sales and marketing, I get them to read this book. And if they're thinking about working on the website or doing anything like that, it's an absolute must that it changes your mind. There's if I may just pick out one piece that I'd love to just get your views on. We'll test if you remember what it is that you wrote a few years ago. I often find this with authors that I'm quoting from the book and going, I don't remember that at all. So we'll see. But your chapter 10 in the book talks about pricing, and this whole issue where for a lot of businesses where they're not e-commerce. You can search around the website and you don't find a price. So rather than me tell you, but why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so this is, the whole philosophy behind They Ask You Answer comes down to an obsession with the way buyers think, starting with their questions, right? And of course, there's certain fundamental questions that all buyers have. It doesn't matter whether you sell a service or a product.
Yeah.
And in the book, we call those the big five. There's five major subjects that we all like to research. And number one of those big five is cost-based questions. So there's cost-based questions that we love to research before we engage a company, before we buy something. We want to know, what are the problems with that product or service? What are the negatives? How could it go wrong? How could it blow up in my face? We want to know, how does that product or service compare to other products or services that we're looking at? We want to know, what is everybody saying about that product or service? So that's reviews. And we want to know what the best product or service is that we're researching, right? And we have all done searches with cost, problems, comparisons, reviews, and best, for some of us, thousands of times online by this point, right? And cost is something that we're just nuts about as buyers, right? So as a buyer, if you go on a website and you're looking for cost and price information, you can't find it. How do you feel? You feel very, very frustrated, right? And how long do you stay? Well, we've done the studies on this, and the average person will stay less than 10 seconds on a website before they bolt, before they just leave. So we are looking for it. We don't call the company. We just leave and we continue searching, and we search until we find. And generally speaking, whoever gives us, the buyer, the information, the answer to the question that we were looking for, they are going to get our business. Yeah. That's generally how it works, or at least they're going to get the first contact, right? Now, what's interesting about that, that's how we have evolved as buyers. But if you talk to most businesses, do you talk about cost and price on your website? And of course, what do they say? Well, you don't understand, Marcus. We're different. We're a B2B service-based business. And there's all these different reasons. And there's three fundamental reasons why businesses like to justify why they can't talk about cost and price. The first reason that everybody likes to give is, yes, but every job is different. We have a very customized solution, et cetera, right? So that's the first one. All right. The second one that everybody, so it's just funny to me. There's actually a multiplicity of reasons, but there's these just majors, right? Another major reason is they say, well, we're more expensive. And if we're more expensive, we just might scare them away, right? Yeah. Which is really, really funny, because the thing that actually scares us away as buyers is when they don't talk about the thing. That's what scares us away, not knowing. It's the unknown that bothers us so much. We also say things like, well, I don't want to talk about cost and price because of my competition. That's number three. Well, it's funny, because if you've been in if you've been in the game any period of time, if you've been researching any period of time, well, then generally speaking, it's you, like, let's say you've been in an industry. You know what your competitors charge. They know what you charge. So this is the big secret, non-secret. Everybody acts like nobody knows what everybody's charging, when in reality, everybody's got a pretty good sense of as to what everybody else is charging. And so the idea that we would allow our competitors to dictate how honest we are online is pretty ridiculous. And so we have done this with hundreds and hundreds of clients. Talk about cost and price on your website. Now, here's the key. You don't have to give the exact price. You do, of course, if it's e-commerce.
Isn't it?
Right. But the key, Rob, is that you explain the marketplace. What drives the cost up?
Yeah.
What keeps the cost down? Why are some companies expensive? Why are some companies cheap? And then where do you fall? And so if you're going to talk about cost and price on your website, and let's say you produce an article on this, and let's say, or a video, but let's just call it an article for the sake of time. And let's say it's 1,000+ words, because it should be meaty, actually. It shouldn't be just this quick little, it should be meaty. 800 of those words are going to be about the industry. Okay? 200 are going to be about what you charge. You see, this is the mistake that a lot of companies make. I see organizations all the time, if they talk about cost and price, they just show their cost and price. I'm like, no, you missed the point. The point is, you got to educate the marketplace on the marketplace. What should I expect as a buyer as I start to do research?
Yes, it's education, isn't it? I mean, I always explain to people that our job is not to try and sell to someone or even persuade. It's to educate them so that they can make the best possible decision for themselves.
Yep, that's exactly right.